Boys came up here with something to say, Heather B.
I know. I was there.
That's crazy.
Miles Minnick came up here. He had something to say.
I was there.
Jon Keith came up here. He had something to say.
I was there.
I wasn't even sure if John was in a good mood that day.
But he was there.
But he showed up. Sometimes you got to show up regardless of the mood.
100%.
You got to show up. And I gave these guys an open invitation because I love what they stand for. We were talking about the West Indies Project at that time, but, you know, there's been other music dropped, and I've been able to just follow these guys on their social media and see the work and the reception that they're receiving, not only from the industry, but also from the audience. You know, and it just seems like their stars are constantly rising. And then Jon Keith, man, he just never stops working, Heather. The dude is just working, man. Like he grew up with no food on the shelves, or the refrigerator was empty. So he's here to talk about new music, a new project coming, all the great things he's been doing. I said, man, come up to the show, and here he is, the one and only Jon Keith.
What's so crazy about what you said, though, Sway, before we went live on air, and I hope you don't mind me sharing, it was so beautiful that he said, this never gets old. And, you know, I was sharing with him, you know, some of the conversation you and I had about Mr. Robert Townsend and the words that he dropped and the words that he shared at a talk back at a screening of a film called The 40-Year-Old Version. And I love that you said that. Keep that fire. You know, may the Spirit continue to guide you and keep you excited and enthused, because that's such a great attitude to have, because it's so easy to get discouraged. This industry is a lot, you know, and so to stay excited is a good thing. And like Sway said, even when you don't feel like it, sometimes we have to show up.
100%.
Yeah, and showing up excited gives you the advantage.
100%. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I was, you know, this is something that, you know, I used to, like, I've said it a million times now, but, you know, like growing up, wishing that you could maybe do music one day, and watching all the artists that you, like, look up to and you want to be, come up here and talk to Sway and talk to Heather, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, and then you're sitting in the seat, it's like, yo, it's just a constant reminder of God's faithfulness, you know? So it's,
man,
it's really crazy.
Amen.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
Jon
crazy.
Keith, this guy's all right with me.
Because he mentioned your name?
He did say Sway.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I like when John says my
Okay.
name. I believe him, man. And the music you making has just been really outstanding.
Yeah.
I feel like there's this creative renaissance that's happening for you, for Miles, and even for the genre, if you will. You're starting to hear people step out of the perimeters of what was considered the genre, and like listening to the music I just played, Won't Fly, Jesus at My Door, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't, I mean, you could play it at the R&B club. You could play it in the mix show. You know, you could play it in a lot of different places. I can't really put it in a genre. But you, when I listened to these vocals, I didn't realize that you were in the hook.
Yeah.
You in a different realm today.
Yeah.
Speak on that.
Yeah. So what's funny is I've been singing longer than I've been rapping, right? But I have not been singing like professionally longer than I've been rapping. So like, you know, I got into rap when I was 12, and then I started writing when I was 14, you know, started rapping when I was 16. But I was singing, you know, I grew up, my parents was playing Stevie Wonder and you know, gospel music and actually country music too. So like it was a bunch of different stuff. Michael Jackson, CeCe Winans, you know, that was in our house at all times. And so I was singing those songs all the time. And then, you know, I started rapping. But, you know, especially after linking up with Rodney and talking, you know, and we've been working.
That's Rodney Jerkins.
Yeah, Rodney Jerkins.
For those,
he's a first name basis.
It's a first name basis. They make money together.
Yeah, you know, like melody is king. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I love rap. You know what I'm saying? And I really love writing songs that resonate with people and can pull emotion out of them. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's what I wanted to do with this album. I keep telling everyone I wrote this album to help people fall apart. And so that's what we're trying to do.
I wrote this album to help people fall apart. There's when you sing in this chorus, and I want to come back to Rodney Jerkins too. When you say melody is king, it sounds like somebody gave you a gem and you followed it.
Oh yeah.
Did he tell Michael that too? Did he work with Michael Jackson?
Michael might have told him that. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't tell Michael anything.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Did he ever tell you any Mike stories?
Oh, yeah.
Any you can share? Like one that would blow our mind?
I don't. He really just talks about. He talks about like his friendship with Michael and like how he was in the studio. He said you'll be in there, like working. You know what I'm saying, going crazy, and then like he said Michael was like a kid in the studio. He like pop up and throw an egg at you. And it's like, wait, hold on, what? You know what I'm saying? And then you joke around in the studio, all that, like crazy. Wow. Yeah, but he'll also talk about his genius. He's like, bro, I don't know if like he was doing this to like, or if he was really this genius. I don't know, but he's like, he'll call me at like 4 a.m. and be like, yo, play me what you worked on today. And he's like, over the phone. He's like, yeah, and he plays it, and he's like, yo, pan the hi-hats to the left. Or like all that kind of, and it's like over the phone you can hear how it's panned on the phone. That's crazy. And so it's always inspiring listening to him. Well, talk about Michael, especially because with this album, me and my brother Enzo worked on, and we took some inspiration from Michael. And so like when Rodney comes in and he listens to it, he's like, yo, this got kind of like a Michael feel to it. And I'm like, we win. And then he'll go and be like, yo, let me show you some. And then, pull out like files he got of like, and it's crazy.
Unheard stuff?
I don't know.
But stems from maybe, right?
Yeah.
He's pulling out stems and playing them back.
Yeah. Crazy.
Jon Keith is here, man.
Yeah.
You made this album to tear people apart.
To have people fall apart.
To have people fall apart. Okay, I was like, okay.
Yeah, like she's making it sound
to
so
rip
crazy.
people to shreds.
Yeah, you won't be on tour.
Yeah, man. I was like, what's wrong with you, bro? Okay. Oh, what is it? What's the proper verbiage?
To help people fall apart.
So in this hook, you go, I got dreams, but I got no time.
Yeah.
I hear Jesus at my door tonight.
Yeah.
Can't let him see me. I'll just go and hide.
Yeah.
I'm too scared of what we gonna find.
Yeah.
What? I mean, what? Talk about what made you write that line.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's inspired by a place you once were, maybe.
Yeah. Jesus. First of all, I want to say that Jesus is a person who is alive. Mm-hmm. I believe that, right? Jesus has he desires relationship with people, and he desires to help people grow. In order to grow, there's things that they have to come off of us, and we play this game with God sometimes, and we often don't even realize we're doing it. So I said, I can't let him see me. I'll just go and hide because I'm too scared of what we might find. Like, I've stuff that I've buried so deep, I don't even know what's down there anymore. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I don't even know exactly what I'm hiding from Jesus, but I can't let him see me, because if he does, then he's not going to want anything to do with me, because that's the kind of relationships, that's the kind of love that we as humans experience oftentimes. If people knew your absolute worst, would they still love you? And so when we say, yeah, Jesus would, that sounds ridiculous. It's very hard to be like, okay, yeah, I can trust that, because we've never experienced that. And so that's kind of what the song is about, is like trying to make yourself into somebody first before you can come to God. And he's like, yo, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to come as you are, so we can take you further, not leave you where you are. Cause that's a thing that often gets like twisted. Oh, they come as you are. Yes. And if he left you as you are, that wouldn't be love.
Jon Keith is here. That's very vulnerable. That's a lot of vulnerability in your music that I'm fascinated by, because I personally I have a hard time writing emotions into words on paper. Right,
Yeah.
I could probably speak it better. Right, but I tried to keep diaries and things in my day, but I couldn't do it because I knew I was being fake in the paper.
Yeah.
I wasn't being as real as what I was feeling. Maybe I just had a lack of vocabulary. When LL Cool J made "I Need Love," right, that was showing our culture a whole nother side of vulnerability coming from a man, or Pac made "So Many Tears," or even Jay-Z made
Song Cry.
Song Cry, right? That kind of vulnerability is different, but that level of vulnerability is hard to reach, and that's what I'm hearing in your music.
Yeah.
Right? Do you have to go through a process before being able to even bring this out of yourself? Like,
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's difficult to not be. I've not really had a problem sharing. I've often had a problem oversharing.
okay.
And well, actually, that's not completely true. You know, yes, it's tough. It's tough to share, but to me, I don't think that we can properly love each other and help each other with secrets and lies, you know. And so, like, a big thing in my music is I like to say aggressive vulnerability, like being aggressive about it, so that it's, you know, if I can give you as close as I can get to my worst, because I don't think I really know the depths of my worst. I don't think a lot of us do. But if I can get as close to that in vulnerability as I can, then people feel, oh, you know what, maybe I'm not too far gone. And so, but yeah, I mean, it's a process for sure. You know, it's difficult, but I've come to a place where I think it's harder for me to not overshare.
Not overshare. You've been described as a champion for the lonely and searching, right?
Who described me?
Sway.
Me.
Oh, okay.
Based on your music, I just, you know, in my own mind, you know, you're at service, right? Through your music, which you don't have to be. You can easily try to write. We all written songs here, like in this room, right? And you know, Jim Boogie, the one who works with you, you know, there's times when you write songs for certain reasons. Yeah. You know, oh, this is gonna be my radio song. Yeah. Right. This gonna be my song for the club. Right. This is gonna be my song for the streets. But your songs seem to be always for those who are lonely and searching. You know, did you make a conscious decision that with my music, this will be my purpose?
In a way, I wanted to find people like me. Yeah. You know, I think that a lot of us are a lot closer than we think we are. You know, and so the lonely and searching kind of describes everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there's times where it's like, man, it might not be you know, a generalization of just like, this is you're always lonely and searching, but you know, you just might have hit a season where you're like, I don't think I have anybody right now. A season. And like, I don't think I know who I am or what this is about anymore. And so that's the lonely and searching, you know. And so I want to make music for people that are in that time.
What you looking at them like that for, Heather B? I see you staring at Jon Keith right now.
You know, we were listening to your music before you came in, and I'm trying to figure out if this industry needs to change what they call gospel music. Okay, and the categories that they put people in. Yeah. Because you talked about lonely, you talk about searching, and I could name 50 R&B songs that fall into that category. And yet you hear these records constantly on the radio. But the moment you put gospel artists next to that person's name, they may not get on a adult R&B, contemporary, whatever they call these different channels out there.
Yeah.
But you're talking about R&B music can be inspirational as well, you know. And I'm just wondering, should some of these titles change, because you're talking about things that hip hop artists talk about, R&B artists talk about, country artists talk about, pop artists talk about.
Yeah.
So why is it so difficult sometimes for artists that fall under this, you know, how you would describe as this art, to get the love and get the light and get the promotion and get the, you know, it's just strange to me, the box that some artists get put in, but you're making, the subject matter is the same.
Yeah, I think about that a lot, because the entire thought of, they're gonna get mad at me, but the entire thought of like Christian art is brand new. That's within the last
10, 15.
I mean, a little more than that, but I mean, like, within the grand scheme of how long art's been around and how long Christians have been making art. You look at like the Sistine Chapel.
Oh, okay, that kind of, got it.
You look
Okay,
at like
all right.
These artists. You look Beethoven, or you know what I'm saying. Like, there's artists who had a faith and like believed in God, and like, you know what I'm saying, would categorize their lives as Christian, and then they would make art, and it was art. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it reflected God. The Sistine Chapel, you look up and you see that. I mean, like, I've never been. I would love to go see that in person. But it's like this giant mural of, like, you know, God and man and heaven and all of these things. You're not gonna look at that and be like, oh, this is a secular piece of art. Like, that's not gonna happen. But for some reason, it has to happen with music. I think that's stupid. But I proudly say that I'm a Christian artist. Because I'm a Christian everything. Like, if I'm not a Christian something, that's a problem for me, because I claim to know Jesus, right? But this thing where it's, you know, people are wanting to there's a thing going on right now in the Christian music world.
I love when y'all give us the insight.
so you know, Glorilla just won
with
Kirk Franklin won Gospel Song of the Year, BET Awards. Congratulations to her.
Rain down on me. Rain down on me.
And I understand both sides. So, like, you know, I was talking with Rodney. We were just up at Breakfast Club with, you know, Charlemagne, and he was like, I don't like this, because there's people that live this 100% of the time. There's people that their entire life is about gospel music, gospel everything, right? And then somebody dives off and does a moment of gospel something, and it's like, oh, let's give her everything. I understand the frustration there. That's the thing for sure. And then there's another side of it where I'm like, there might have been a moment in her life. I ain't never met Glow in my life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, she had a moment where she wanted to write something that reflected where she might be with God. Right? And it's like, there's a lot of Christians right now that's like, oh, you know, they're winning our awards, and like and it's like, I feel like we focus on the wrong things. Like, our award, we own those. That's kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I don't know. And again, I don't know Glow. She might have been like trying to make a Christian moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Or it could have been genuine. I just feel like this thing of like Christian art and not Christian art, and, you know, I'm not gonna be the one to solve it. This has been going on forever. It's just. It's
very
like,
confusing.
Yeah, it's confusing. That's new.
Yeah, because an R&B artist can be a Christian as well, making R&B music, but they're not considered a Christian artist. Like,
right now, I will say I do understand the, you know, I had a talk with a friend a little while ago who was like, "Yo, do you think I make Christian music?" And I know he's a Christian, and his art it kind of reflects other things, right? I would say, a lot of times, and this isn't the case for him specifically, but it just made me think about this. A lot of times, I understand well, you know, this can't be, you know, a Christian artist, because I don't think you can make art that contradicts
facts.
Right? You can't make music that goes, I'm gonna call what God calls evil, I'm gonna call that good. And I'm a Christian artist. I don't think you can do that.
You can't do that.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's things that's like people experience love. They want to write a song about their wife. Like the fact that they're even able to experience that love is a reflection of God.
Amen.
You want to write a song about your kids. The fact that you can love your kids and have that relationship is a reflection of God. You know, like these things are they're universal.
Yeah, universal.
They're common grace. You know what I'm saying? And so, to try and, I'm kind of ranting, but
No, I like it. So, you don't have a problem with Glorilla winning that award?
No, me personally, I don't.
Yeah, would you work with her?
It depends on what
y'all
we
do.
Yeah, it depends on what we do. Yeah.
But you would be open to that.
Yeah, we'd have to have conversations.
Yeah, I mean, like if it's compatible,
and
the subject matter is aligned with what you do.
Yeah. Just like, hey, I want to write a song. This is what I'm going through with God right now, or just in life right now, and I feel like you can speak into that. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, dope. Let's have a conversation, and like, I would love to. If it's like, yo, we can make one that go crazy in the church. I'm like, okay, that's as it feels a little vulture-y. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Yeah. Jon Keith is here. Heather, I'm gonna play to your point. Minna, can you throw in the song Eyes on Us real quick, a piece of it? I want to play that because when I first heard this song, I was thinking the same thing you're saying. Like, this sound like this could be
It's confusing,
it's
bro.
like an R&B. Like, this could be on the R&B charts right there.
What's
right?
the problem?
Well, yeah, right?
What's the problem?
We're going to see if we got that, Minna? Eyes on Us. And I'm going to say salute to Kirk Franklin.
Yep.
I know he gets a lot. Kirk always getting backlash for something or another. But that man we've had conversations where we sat down behind his concerts, yo, Sway, come talk to me.
Yeah.
I love my audience, and we sing together because we're evenly yoked. We're in the same choir.
Yeah.
I want to reach people who aren't in our choir, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to reach people who really need to be reached.
Yeah.
And want to be reached. And I think him doing songs with artists like Glorilla and other artists is his way of getting into cross-pollinating into other audiences so they can have a variety of messaging, not just one or two things, and look what they were able to do.
Yeah.
I grew up in the church the same way. I wasn't taught to idolize trophies or awards like that.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking whoever. That's just a interesting, rebuttal.
It's funny that you bring up Kirk with that because he did Stomp with Salt from Salt and Pepper on there, and I'm a hip hop artist. I grew up loving hip hop.
Yeah.
When I saw, I'm like, who's this Kirk Franklin?
Yeah.
Who did Salt do a song with? It made me go back.
Yeah.
And listen to all of Kirk Franklin's music. That's how I discovered Kirk Franklin.
Yeah.
So it got me into his world,
Yeah.
And I know Salt as a Christian woman who happened to do hip hop. It made sense for her. I also think we need to start giving artists more grace.
Yeah.
If I come into the industry, John, at 19, 20 years old, and maybe by the time I'm 28, I have different experiences. What I was doing at 20, I'm not doing anymore. Maybe God put on my spirit, don't drink, don't smoke. You hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
Give me some grace to grow with that. Maybe for other people, it happens in shorter time.
Yeah.
But, you flip now. You different. Now you're a positive rapper. Go ahead with that. All of the things. And it's like, we got to do better as an audience, too. Allow artists to grow. Like you said, she could have had something hit her. And
that could have been the case. And I will say, like, there is a thing with, like, the industry. So, like, Rodney is right that there's a thing with the industry that's like
Rodney Jerkins,
my bad.
That's his buddy.
Yeah, that's my fault. Rodney is right in the fact that the industry will do this thing where it's like, this person did a Christian song. It's like, okay, well, let's pay attention to this now because it's okay when they do it. But these artists that are always Christian artists and they're making excellent music. We're not gonna pay attention to them because it's Christian, but this is dope over here. He is right. Like that's backwards. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to speak to like the tension of like, oh, is this art Christian or is this not Christian? You know, so.
Yeah, well, congratulations to them, and
These
I appreciate
categories
you
are crazy.
being open about this. I want to play this song called "Eyes on Us." Jon Keith.
Man.
Pew 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 pew.
Have the beat. Tracy,
love it.
I was gonna walk. I was gonna walk over that, baby.
That was Alex Jean. On the guitar. He did the verse, the little rap verse.
Yeah.
Not Lil. I mean, he did. It was Lil in time.
Yeah.
It was a fire verse. And he shredded that guitar too.
I see Tracy rock boxing in New York right now to that one, right, Tracy?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, from your art to the conversation, Jon, you're such a gift. And I gotta say, I mean, from what you've been sharing, what constitutes Christian art, what doesn't, but then also with do categories sometimes simplify to help a bigger audience understand, but then they can be very limiting for an audience. But I also got to note that when it comes to faith-based music, I personally have not heard it sound at this level until I was introduced to a Lecrae, until I was introduced to your work, until I was introduced to Miles. And I feel like it reminds us that there is always something to learn about another person. Even if on the surface it looks like we have all of these differences, but there is something that we share. And just in terms of sound, it's like we know what our heart feels drawn towards. And you can take those like soundscapes, but then add a different context through like the subject matter. And I think that is going to, I don't know, I think we're going to start seeing an artist like you win awards that are outside the Christian category. Like, I want to call that right now. I want to claim that right now.
Wow. You're going to claim that, Tracy?
I want to claim that, yeah. Because the quality is up there. Shut up, Sway. That is my testimony, bruh. But I also want to speak to you, Jon, about vulnerability more. Because what's wild is that vulnerability is a requirement for love to enter, but it's not a guarantee that love will enter when you're being vulnerable, right? And sometimes vulnerability leads to rejection. Sometimes you're being vulnerable about your emotions, maybe sharing with someone how something they unintentionally did hurts you, but they don't want to receive it. It's overwhelming, et cetera, et cetera. Can you share how someone can kind of make peace, get back to their center after a vulnerability hangover of sorts where it did not lead to love? And then I would love for you to talk about what trust and emotional safety looks like in friendships, because it's already difficult just as an adult with the discernment, but then there's an added layer when you are in this industry, you know, and there are kind of, you know, Judases, so to say, who are lurking and want to be around you for this moment, but don't have your best interest. So if you could speak on the both of those, I would love to hear your POV.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Tracy. I think, so for one, I have no idea how to, you know what I'm saying, come back to like your center after like being rejected, you know, from being vulnerable. I have no idea how to do that outside of God. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only way for me, because it's happened before. I've been vulnerable before and I've been rejected. The only way I was able to recenter myself and you know, be all right is the fact that I know at the end of the day there's someone who will never reject me. You know? Who, like I said, I don't even know my worst. He does. You know what I'm saying? Like he knows and he's trying to get to it and he wants to, you know, work in it because of love. And there's a thing too, there's a you know, there's this idea that is very popular in our culture, that, you know, like people have that saying, it's like, oh, you know, I messed up, I'm this, I'm that, well, I'm only human. And it's like, and we tend to think that like human and sin or wickedness or just wrong is like synonymous, and it's not. The reason that God, like, you know what I'm saying, I'm sorry, I'm preaching today. The reason that God hates sin and hates wickedness is because of what it does to humans. And so like it's not like, oh well, you know what I'm saying, like that's why he's not gonna leave you where you're at. Because all the wrong that's happening, he's like, this is damaging the one that I love. I'm going to deal with the wrong to save the one I love. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know how to come back to it unless it's with God. And then I will say, like, as far as like relationships go and trust and all that, like you said, I mean, it's tricky, especially being in this industry. It kind of always feels like somebody might want something from you. But when I look at my model of how to be human, which is Jesus, I'm like, okay, he was aware that people just wanted something from him, and he was like, and we gonna rock anyways. Yeah. And so, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, I got a wife and a son, so I have a responsibility to protect them. And so like I'm doing that, but as far as like serving even those who might not want the best for me, I'm obligated to.
You're obligated to do that. Jon Keith, give this man a round of applause. The new project is called Grow Wings.
Yeah.
And the meaning behind that is?
It's a, you remember when I came here last time, or the first time I had that big butterfly chain on?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, the fake one. It was
real,
No, it wasn't real. It wasn't real. Hey. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Okay.
That I've been on this butterfly thing because I think that like God has written his plan for humanity in creation. And so like you see butterflies or caterpillars, they go into like their
the metamorphosis.
The metamorphosis, right? But in that process, they have to fall apart. They have to become completely liquid before the butterfly is born. And so if you don't fall apart, then new life can't happen. And so yeah, that's Grow Wings is what it's about.
Gosh, this guy Jon Keith, man, give this man a round of applause. He been on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights or something, man. I don't know what guy fasting, something going on, man. The new project is Grow Wings. You heard 2 exceptional songs off the project. Make sure you run the whole project. It's something you can sit with your family, your lover, your kids, your grandparents, and your homies, whoever it is you want to rock out with. Have this playing in the background as you do what you do, or as you drive in your trucks, your cars, as you work out. There's some really high vibration music. Jon, I want to say thank you, man, for your contributions, brother.
Thank y'all, for real.
And I'm coming to, where am I going?
You going to Holy Smoke August 14th and 16th.
Okay.
Sorry, through 16th.
Through 16th.
Yeah. That's gonna be dope.
That's gonna be in Nashville. You want Heather to come too?
Yes, please.
You should ask her.
Heather B, you trying to come to Holy Smoke, our Christian hip hop festival in Nashville, Tennessee, August 14th to 16th.
So I remember when you spoke about this before, and I know what Sway's doing, but I can look you in the eye and say, yes, I would love to come. I've never been there before. But I know, but this is part of Sway dragging me into whatever work he may have to do.
I'm not working. They invited me as a guest.
No, you wanted to be on stage. You wanted to. I remember all of it. My job is to listen. That's what, my job is to listen. So I didn't forget.
Oh, okay. Well, they asked me. The fellas was like, Sway, we love to have you.
No, you kind of begged your way on.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Didn't feel like that at the time.
That's what happened. They didn't want to say no.
They were scared to say no to Sway. You gonna say no to him? I ain't gonna say no to him.
Y'all could bring me out. I could go on tour. I could get them fired up, man. Just let me out on the set. I remember all of it.
Yo, and Jon didn't want to say no, but
it was right in that studio over there, Jon. It was the other room too, and you just didn't want to hurt him.
That's cool, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you tearing me apart. All right, give it up for Jon Keith.
Yes,
Grow
sir.
Wings is the project. Make sure you guys support that. Jen, love you, Jen Norwood, aka J Boogie.
J Boogie.
All right, Jen Boogie in the building. Tracy, thank you. We're gonna come back with some more.
Sway in the morning.
Shade 4-5.